People often wonder why others don't show them the respect they feel they deserve. And here's the truth. It isn't because you're weak, foolish, or unsuccessful. It's because the world can read you like an open book. It's because your energy whispers your insecurities before you ever open your mouth. People see through the mask you wear. They sense your hunger to be liked, your invisible plea to be accepted, and your fear of confrontation that seeps through your tone and movements. That's where the cracks form, where the foundation of authority collapses. Respect isn't stolen. It's surrendered when you allow others to see your need. The truth is harsh but simple. The world doesn't honor effort, emotion, or good intentions. It only respects presence and certainty. Power isn't noisy. It doesn't beg for attention or validation. It sits quietly, anchored in confidence, still as a storm before it breaks. Real authority is silent, deliberate, and final. When you carry that, you don't need to speak loudly because your stillness speaks for you. Think back to a moment when someone dismissed you, ignored your words, spoke over you, or turned you into the punchline of a joke. Why did they feel free to do it? Because something in your presence told them they could get away with it. People only disrespect what feels safe to disrespect. Your lack of boundaries, your visible desire to be liked, your unwillingness to make others uncomfortable, all of it teaches the world how to treat you. You don't earn respect by being endlessly kind. You earn it when people sense that your peace cannot be disturbed, your stance cannot be moved, and your reaction cannot be predicted. True presence makes others pause before they test your limits. What I'm about to share isn't just another self-help speech. It's a dissection of power itself. This is the raw psychology of influence, the anatomy of command, the study of why certain people bend rooms to their will while others fade into background noise. These ideas descend from ancient truths, the same principles Machiavelli once whispered to kings and rulers, the art of constructing an aura that resists control. Watch closely, because what comes next isn't motivation. It's transformation. And remember this, every step you take toward composure is a step toward control. Say this quietly to yourself, I am unshakable. Let's begin with the first principle, the root of presence. Ask yourself, when was the last time you silenced your own voice in the middle of a thought? When you had something to say but swallowed your words out of fear of how it might sound? That pause, that self-doubt, is the graveyard of personal power. Power starts from within, not in muscle or voice, but in the stillness of your own mind. When your inner world is calm and unmoving, when your certainty doesn't wobble, every external detail adjusts. Your tone sharpens. Your silence becomes louder than words. People begin to sense that your peace cannot be disturbed easily, and they start moving around you, not the other way around. Most individuals lose authority before they even open their mouths. They enter rooms wondering if they belong, and that single thought makes them shrink. They speak, then instantly seek confirmation from others' faces, scanning for approval. They act, then pause for applause. But that behavior radiates weakness. Machiavelli once warned that uncertainty is an open invitation to manipulation. When others detect uncertainty, they probe it, they test it, they press against it, because that's what people do. We are biologically designed to follow those who appear sure and dismiss those who don't. People are not convinced by strength of words, but by strength of conviction. When Machiavelli said men are won more by the eye than the hand, he meant that people don't respond to noise. They respond to what they see, the signal of confidence that radiates through your eyes. Uncertain eyes wander. They dart, they flicker, they search for validation. But the eyes of the confident stay still. They lock, they hold, they claim the space around them without asking permission. The rule is simple: never display doubt. Even when you are unsure, act as if your path is already decided. Even when confusion stirs, move with the grace of someone who knows the outcome. Speak less. Let your movements feel intentional, not impulsive. Every gesture, every breath should suggest control, not reaction. That doesn't mean pretending to know everything. It means owning your stance completely, even in uncertainty. When you choose, commit. No apologies, no public second-guessing, no verbal fishing for reassurance. That level of ownership creates an aura that others cannot pierce. When your inner dialogue stops trembling, others stop questioning your authority. Confidence isn't a performance. It's an energy that multiplies when you no longer negotiate with yourself. Remind yourself daily, I am certain. Now let's talk about the second law, the mask of composure. This is where most people fail, because they confuse honesty with transparency. They believe showing every emotion makes them real, when in truth it makes them predictable. Amateurs reveal everything. They wear their frustrations, their excitement, their fear openly. Masters reveal nothing. Power lives in restraint. Every time you react emotionally, you hand someone else a map to your weaknesses. The moment you show anger, they know how to provoke it again. The second you reveal hurt, they know where to aim next time. Control over your emotions doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you decide which feelings deserve to leave the confines of your mind. Your tone remains steady, your posture unbroken, your face unreadable. People respect calmness more than passion because calmness implies dominance. When others cannot decipher what you're thinking, they assume your silence hides strength. They imagine you are more intelligent, more dangerous, and more composed than you may actually be. Mystery is the currency of influence. Machiavelli once wrote that it is unnecessary to reveal every thought you have. Remember that. Your emotions, plans, and ambitions are sacred. They belong only to you. The moment you make your inner world accessible, you give others the ability to twist it. When you can't be read, people become cautious. Their uncertainty becomes your armor. Imagine this. Someone insults you in public. The average person would defend themselves, react, or retaliate to prove their worth. The powerful one doesn't flinch. They hold eye contact, maybe tilt their head slightly, and continue as though the insult never existed. That unshaken silence creates discomfort. The aggressor doesn't know if they failed to get a reaction, or if they've just created an enemy too calm to reveal his move. They start doubting themselves, and that's the reversal of power. When you wear emotional discipline like a second skin, you become a mirror. People will project their assumptions onto you, their fears, their insecurities, their admiration, and you let them. You don't correct, you don't explain, you don't justify. You let their imagination do your work. Every explanation you offer weakens your mystique. The most magnetic people are the ones who reveal the least. Stop narrating your every thought. Stop announcing your every move. Let your results, not your reasons, do the speaking. Your silence becomes strategy. Your control becomes command. Say it now. I am unreadable. The third law is the mastery of fear. Not the fear you feel, but the fear you evoke. People often believe power comes from aggression, from being loud or confrontational. But aggression is just noise, and noise is easy to tune out. True fear doesn't scream, it whispers. It's not about threats or dominance. It's about consequence. When others sense that disrespecting you carries a cost, even if that cost is silence, they adjust. You don't need to raise your voice or send warnings. You only need to show that your energy withdraws when someone crosses a line. That withdrawal is the punishment. Most people equate strength with emotional reaction, but that's the opposite of truth. The more you react, the less control you have. Real fear arises when people realize they don't know what you'll do next. When someone shouts at you, it's unpleasant, but predictable. You know their emotions control them, and that makes them manageable. But when someone goes still, when they withdraw their warmth, when their face empties of expression, when they become quiet and unreachable, that's when real unease sets in. Because silence is power. When people don't know what you're thinking, they start fearing what you might be planning. Machiavelli said it's safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. That doesn't mean cruelty. It means presence that commands respect without needing to demand it. It's when people choose their words carefully around you, not out of fear of punishment, but out of recognition of your self-control. Picture a scene. Someone mocks you in a group conversation, trying to get a laugh at your expense. The room chuckles. The weak person laughs along to appear unaffected or lashes out defensively to save face. The strong one doesn't flinch. They wait for the laughter to fade, then meet the offender's eyes. Not angrily, but with calm precision. A long pause. Then they either shift the topic or leave the space entirely. No argument, no reaction, just an undeniable shift in atmosphere. The temperature changes. The others notice it even if they can't explain it. That's not silence born from fear. That's silence born from control. And people fear control more than anger. You see, the essence of real power is restraint. Every moment you choose not to respond emotionally, you reinforce your own authority. When people can't read you, they start respecting you by default. Your calmness becomes their uncertainty. Your distance becomes their discomfort. And slowly, they learn not to test you again. Every part of power comes down to three things: certainty, composure, and consequence. Certainty builds your presence. Composure guards it. Consequence protects it. The world doesn't honor the loudest. It honors the one who moves with precision and never explains themselves twice. The journey to becoming untouchable isn't about being cruel or emotionless. It's about becoming immovable. It's about being so grounded in your self-worth that no opinion, insult, or rejection can rattle your internal state. People mistake stillness for weakness, but stillness is control. Stillness means you no longer dance to other people's reactions. You dictate rhythm, tone, and energy without words. That's the essence of dominance. It's not an act, it's an energy. It's when you can walk into any space and feel no need to prove yourself because your silence already announces your strength. When you stop explaining and start existing fully, others start adjusting to your frequency. So, what does it mean to live this truth? It means you no longer beg for respect, you embody it. You no longer react, you respond with purpose. You no longer chase approval, you carry an aura that commands it naturally. Every move you make becomes intentional. Every word becomes measured. Every silence becomes power. Respect doesn't come to those who seek it. It gravitates toward those who've mastered themselves. When you can control your emotions, your tone, your energy, you control how the world experiences you. That's the real art of influence. So from this moment forward, stop shrinking your presence to make others comfortable. Stop explaining your worth. Stop fearing judgment. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be respected by the few who can sense your strength. Speak less, move slower, think deeper, and let your silence become your loudest declaration. Say this not as a phrase, but as a truth you live by. I am unshakable. I am certain. I am unreadable. I am untouchable. Because once you learn to master yourself, no one else can ever master you. There is strength in silence. Not the kind that hides, but the kind that commands. When you refuse to engage in disrespect, when you do not dignify someone's attempt to provoke you, you make a statement louder than words. You don't argue, you don't explain, and you don't entertain childish behavior. You simply observe it, register it, and move forward as though it never existed. That's when people realize you are not someone who can be toyed with. They understand that your calm isn't weakness, it's warning. The one who doesn't flinch is the one who controls the tempo of every interaction. Let others adjust themselves to your frequency. Your silence is not emptiness, it's pressure. It's the unspoken signal that your composure is power. Say it with conviction. My silence holds more strength than noise ever could. Now let's go deeper into what truly separates the easily swayed from the unshakable. The next level of inner strength is emotional detachment. Here's a hard reality. Nothing weakens a human being faster than excessive emotional involvement. When your happiness, focus, and energy depend on how things turn out, you've already surrendered control. Caring too much about outcomes clouds judgment. Obsessing over reactions from others distorts clarity. When you let praise inflate you or criticism crush you, your stability collapses. True mastery is found when nothing outside of you can disrupt the rhythm inside of you. Not praise, not insult, not triumph, not defeat. That's the ultimate state of command. Most people are slaves to how they feel. They let moods dictate motion. Someone compliments them and they soar. Someone criticizes them and they crumble. A good morning fuels productivity. A bad one destroys it. But that's not power. That's dependence on circumstance. You must rise above that emotional roller coaster and become the constant force that doesn't bend to temporary weather. When you don't react, you lead the direction. The moment others realize their attempts to shake you are useless, their power over you evaporates. They came to pull you into chaos, but you stand in stillness, and they lose before the game even begins. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man does immediately what a fool does eventually." The foolish person waits until emotions settle to act with reason. The wise one acts with reason from the start. Detachment doesn't mean cold-heartedness. It means clarity. It's not about feeling nothing, but about refusing to be ruled by every feeling. When your mind remains calm while others drown in their impulses, You win every exchange without conflict. You don't need to overpower people when they're already tripping over their own emotions. Building emotional detachment starts with the smallest battles. Someone cuts you off on the road. Your first instinct is anger. Observe it, acknowledge it, then release it before it grows teeth. Someone doesn't text you back. You feel that familiar pull of anxiety. Let it rise and let it pass without chasing closure. Someone else achieves something you wanted. Envy claws at you. Recognize it, breathe, let it fade. You are teaching yourself to witness emotion without merging with it. That's the discipline, to feel everything and yet be mastered by nothing. You don't suppress and you transcend. When you reach this level, you become dangerous because while the rest of the world is reacting emotionally, you are strategizing calmly. While they defend their pride, you position yourself. While they waste energy, you conserve yours. And in the silence of your composure, you see 3 moves ahead. Remind yourself, I am emotionally free. I own my reactions. Now, let's talk about the quiet science of psychological leverage. The art of bending reality without force. Real power never shouts. It doesn't demand submission or announce superiority. It influences without visibility. It changes behavior without commands. This type of influence grows not from intimidation, but from understanding. Understanding people so deeply that you can guide their decisions without them realizing it. You gain leverage not by insisting you're right, but by knowing what they fear, what they crave, what they're avoiding, and what they value. Observation becomes your most refined weapon. Most people are too busy waiting for their turn to speak. They don't listen to others. They just prepare their next sentence. But when you observe, you learn. You notice subtle patterns. The way someone's tone changes when they talk about their failures, the moments their confidence flickers, the topics they overcompensate in, the insecurities they hide behind humor. You watch what excites them, what annoys them, what they can't stand being reminded of. You're not studying to manipulate. You're studying to position. Because influence isn't about overpowering people. It's about understanding where to stand in their mind. Machiavelli wrote that a wise person never exposes themselves to unnecessary danger. And the same applies in social power. Never reveal yourself before the time is right. Don't share your strategy while it's still unfolding. Don't speak of your plans until they are irreversible. Use silence as your mirror. Let others speak freely. They will expose themselves while you remain the observer. Information is leverage, and most people give it away for free. Here's an example. Imagine you're negotiating a deal. The ordinary person tries to persuade the other side by talking endlessly. But the intelligent one asks questions, then listens. Every word the other party says provides data. What they want, what they fear losing, what they value least. When you finally respond, your words are precise and efficient because they're crafted from their psychology, not your impulse. You're not guessing. You're operating on evidence. This is how you guide outcomes without appearing to push them. People think they're deciding freely, but it's you who built the frame in which they're deciding. That's the art of invisible control, shaping the environment, not the individual. Those who can detach from emotion control those who can't. That's the unspoken hierarchy of every room. Emotional observers will always outrank emotional reactors. This is not cruelty, it's intelligence. It's how kings, strategists, and leaders have ruled throughout history, not by force, but by foresight. Say it to yourself again. I see everything. My awareness is my weapon, and now we arrive at a truth few people dare to live by, the discipline of boundaries. Every time you excuse bad behavior, every time you overlook disrespect, every time you let something slide to keep the peace, you chip away at your own authority. Each excuse is a quiet surrender. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Those who are negotiable are never respected. They are used. People who have no boundaries lose themselves trying to earn validation, while those who draw clear lines are treated as forces of nature. Strong individuals guard their peace like sacred territory. They don't beg for respect. They demand it through standards. If someone violates your boundaries, end the interaction immediately. No drama, no emotional outburst, no speech about how hurt you are, just action. You remove yourself. You end contact. You move forward, calmly, cleanly, completely. That's what self-command looks like. When someone pushes once, your response teaches them everything they need to know. One warning is mercy. Two is weakness. Machiavelli said that he who wishes to be obeyed must know first how to command, and commanding starts within. If you cannot enforce your own limits, you will never command respect from others. Boundaries are not arrogance. They are self-respect in action. They announce that your time, energy, and peace are valuable resources, not public property. Here's a real-world example. Someone constantly cancels on you or shows up when it's convenient for them. The average person keeps giving chances, trying to be understanding, but the strong one simply stops initiating. They don't announce it. They don't hold grudges. They just redirect their focus. When the other person finally notices your absence and asks why, you answer with brevity. I don't chase anyone anymore. And that's it. That one sentence speaks volumes. It declares your worth without complaint. Boundaries are the proof that you respect yourself. And those who respect themselves attract respect naturally. You are not alive to be endlessly understood. You are alive to be valued. And value is never given to those who demand it. It's given to those who demonstrate it. So stop explaining your standards. Stop apologizing for having limits. Let your silence enforce your rules. People will adapt faster to your actions than to your explanations. Say this now, I'm non-negotiable. My peace is priceless. Finally, the highest level of power, the ability to withdraw strategically. Sometimes, the most dominant move you can make is to disappear without sound. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Disappearing is not about running away. It's about choosing where your energy no longer belongs. You don't make a scene. You don't announce your exit. You simply become unavailable. When someone disrespects your time, when a situation no longer serves your growth, when your presence is taken for granted, the strongest response isn't confrontation. It's absence. Most people think staying to fight proves strength. But often, staying only feeds the other person's ego. Walking away is the real assertion of worth. When you remove your attention, you remove the currency others depend on. You stop arguing. You stop explaining. You stop trying to make them see your value. You let silence and absence do what words never could. Make them feel the vacuum your energy once filled. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot guard himself from traps, and the fox cannot guard himself from wolves. One must be both. A fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." This means that you must be sharp enough to recognize manipulation and strong enough to end your participation the moment it begins. Strategic withdrawal is the union of those two instincts, intelligence and courage. When you pull back gracefully, you make people face the echo of their own behavior. You don't punish them. You simply leave them with the silence they created. And in that silence, they feel your absence like gravity. That's when they finally see what your presence truly meant. Powerful people don't chase closure. They don't announce endings. They don't explain departures. They vanish from the spaces that no longer align with their peace, and their disappearance says everything. When you understand that walking away can be louder than confrontation, you've mastered the final form of influence. Remember, your silence warns louder than your words. Your detachment protects your clarity. Your awareness gives you leverage. Your boundaries define your worth. And your withdrawal confirms your dominance. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You only need to prove to yourself that your peace is not up for negotiation. Every interaction, every relationship, every moment in your life should echo this truth. I am composed. I am focused. I am untouchable. Others may speak, react, and stumble over their own emotions, but you will remain anchored. You are not here to compete for attention. You are here to command it naturally through discipline, detachment, and self-respect. So from this moment forward, stop defending your peace. Start enforcing it. Stop reacting to disrespect. Start removing yourself from it. Stop chasing acknowledgement. Start embodying confidence so deeply that people have no choice but to notice. You are not obligated to attend every battle you're invited to. Some wars are won by silence. Some victories are earned through distance. And sometimes the loudest message is the quiet act of leaving without a word. Say it again, not as a chant, but as a declaration of who you've become. My silence is strength. My mind is clear. My emotions are my servants, not my masters. I am non-negotiable. I am emotionally free. I see everything. I move with power. I withdraw with grace. Because real control begins the moment you stop needing anyone else to validate your power. When you finally walk away, when your energy retreats and your voice disappears from their life, something begins to shift. The people who once overlooked you suddenly start to notice the quiet space where your presence used to be. They begin reaching out, tentatively at first, with apologies, explanations, and promises they should have made long ago. But here's where true power reveals itself. You don't rush back. You don't fold at the sound of remorse. You don't sprint toward familiarity just because someone now realizes what they've lost. You stay still, detached, composed. You let them sit in the discomfort of uncertainty. You let them feel, maybe for the first time, what your absence truly costs. This isn't cruelty. It's correction. It's the most refined form of psychological warfare, one fought not with anger or revenge, but with silence and distance. You're not punishing them. You're simply removing access to what they once took for granted. You. Think about it in practical terms. When someone repeatedly cancels plans, you don't beg for their time anymore. You don't ask if something's wrong. You just stop offering yours. When they message you expecting an immediate reply, you don't deliver it like a reflex. You let time pass. You answer when it suits you, not when it suits them. When they extend an invitation after neglecting you, you're no longer available. You have other priorities now, yourself. And that quiet withdrawal, that simple shift of energy, flips the entire power dynamic. Suddenly, they're the one analyzing every small reaction. They start wondering when they lost their position. They feel what you felt. That uncertainty, that small ache of not being considered first. You never scolded, never demanded, never explained. You simply vanished from the space they thought they owned. This principle works everywhere. In your career, your friendships, your relationships, even in everyday interactions. At work, if someone doesn't value your contribution, stop offering more than what's required. Fulfill your role flawlessly, but no longer give the extras that made you indispensable. Stop staying late for people who barely notice. Stop fixing problems that aren't yours. Watch how quickly they struggle when your invisible effort disappears. The absence of your initiative will speak louder than any confrontation ever could. In love and friendship, the same truth applies. When someone treats you like an option, remove yourself from their selection altogether. Don't make announcements, don't stage exits, don't give explanations. Just detach. Let them exist in a world without your attention, your care, your consistency. Let them experience what life feels like without your presence to stabilize it. Because sometimes silence is the only message people truly understand. The elegance of strategic withdrawal lies in its simplicity. It's not revenge, it's rebalancing. It's not about showing how much you can hurt them. It's about showing how much you've grown. You protect your energy by no longer pouring it into emptiness. You protect your worth by refusing to argue for it. You invest where appreciation exists, not where your value must constantly be proven. And the crucial rule? Once you pull away, you stay away until real change presents itself. Words aren't enough. Promises don't count. Only consistent effort and genuine accountability deserve a second glance. Because running back too quickly only resets the cycle of disrespect. If they felt the loss and you immediately return, they learn the wrong lesson, that all they have to do is apologize to regain access. But power is lost when you trade silence for comfort. So when you withdraw, remain distant. Observe without engaging. Allow time to reveal who meant their apology and who only missed your convenience. Often you'll discover something surprising. You don't even want to go back. You'll realize that your peace, your focus, your mental space feel richer in their absence. Sometimes what you thought you lost was actually what was holding you down. One deliberate act of disappearance teaches more than 1,000 explanations ever could. Because people rarely appreciate what's constant. They learn value through contrast, through absence. Words are cheap, but your silence, that's expensive. It costs them access, comfort, and the illusion of ownership over your time. Let them pay that price. You are not an endless resource. You are a privilege, not a guarantee. Privileges can be revoked, and once they are, they're rarely restored. That isn't cruelty, that's value management. And valuable things are never available on demand. Remember this truth. My absence educates more than my presence ever could. Now, When all these principles unite, when your certainty, restraint, emotional control, and quiet power merge, something transformative happens. You rise above reaction. You begin to move differently, to think differently, to exist on a higher plane of calm command. You stop chasing validation like oxygen. You stop defending yourself in conversations that don't deserve your voice. You stop explaining intentions to people determined to misunderstand them. The noise of the world doesn't reach you anymore because you no longer vibrate at that frequency. That is the birth of untouchability. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. Your energy becomes impenetrable because your peace no longer depends on external approval. When this state takes root, people feel it before they understand it. Your presence alters rooms. Your silence carries weight. Your composure bends the behavior of those around you. They won't always know what changed. They'll just feel an invisible authority when they're near you. They'll speak more carefully, adjust their tone, and reconsider their actions. Not because you intimidated them, but because you project stability. And stability is rare in a world addicted to chaos. True power doesn't require force. It only requires presence. Think about those individuals you've met who radiate control. They don't shout. They don't boast. They don't perform. They move with such effortless confidence that you feel it before they speak. Their energy whispers what others scream. That can be you, but it demands devotion to self-mastery. You must train your mind to stay centered while others panic. You must refine your emotions until calmness becomes your default. You must uphold boundaries even when it isolates you. You must learn to say no without guilt and enough without apology. Machiavelli once said, "Fortune favors the bold, but boldness doesn't mean chaos or impulsiveness. It means the courage to stand alone in truth while others sell their principles for approval. It's not recklessness, it's integrity under fire. To become untouchable, you must stop fearing discomfort. You must welcome difficulty as your training ground. You don't become invincible by avoiding pain. You become invincible by enduring it without letting it harden your heart. The ones who stand firm when everything around them crumbles, those are the ones who hold the crown of true power. The untouchable do not flinch when criticized, nor do they swell with praise. They lose without breaking. They're insulted without defending. They're tested without collapsing. That is strength in its purest form, the ability to remain yourself while the world tries to pull you apart. And when you finally reach that level, the shift is visible. People who once underestimated you will suddenly measure their words. Those who dismissed your presence will start seeking your opinion. Those who took you for granted will quietly miss your steadiness. Because you stopped playing their game. You stopped explaining your worth. You stopped chasing acknowledgement. And in that very act, you became the most influential player on the board. Say this quietly to yourself: I am untouchable, because that's what this journey builds toward. Not arrogance, but unshakable composure. Power isn't about being feared. It's about being unmoved. It's about becoming so disciplined that no insult, no praise, no chaos can pull you off center. In a world addicted to noise, silence is intimidating. In a world obsessed with reaction, stillness is dominance. In a society desperate for visibility, the one who no longer craves attention becomes magnetic. Respect doesn't come from shouting louder. It comes from standing taller without needing to prove it. You don't need a title or status or validation from others to be respected. You only need to embody consistency, control, and confidence that no one can shake. People who lack self-discipline will call you cold. Those who live for approval will call you detached. But in truth, you're simply free. You've learned what most never will. That power comes from mastering yourself, not manipulating others. Most people never reach this level because they can't detach from their own need to be seen. They chase validation, absorb every insult, react to every emotion, and then wonder why they feel small. But you, if you understand this, you're already separating yourself from the crowd. You're already building something they can't comprehend. You are walking the path of self-sovereignty, where your peace is protected by discipline and your aura is carved from silence. So if you've followed this message until now, take it as confirmation that you are already different. You are already doing what others won't, refusing to explain your worth. You are already constructing the foundation of authority that can't be faked or forced. You're building an aura that commands attention without effort. You're moving from noise to presence, from reaction to control, from insecurity to certainty. And if this message resonates, share it, because this understanding is rare. Few people are brave enough to choose silence over argument, distance over desperation, or boundaries over chaos. But those who do become forces of nature, the kind of people others feel before they even speak. Say this one last affirmation and mean it. My aura is untouchable. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't reward fairness. It rewards strength. It doesn't respect endless kindness. It respects unwavering boundaries. It doesn't follow emotion. It follows certainty. You don't need to chase power. You become it through discipline, patience, and control. Every decision you make, every moment you choose composure over reaction, every time you walk away instead of arguing, you are forging the invisible armor of presence. You are creating an energy that cannot be bought or broken. So remain calm when others panic. Stay silent when others scream. Move with purpose when others flail for attention. You're not here to compete with noise. You're here to embody gravity. Your aura, your calm, deliberate, disciplined energy is being forged right now. Every moment of restraint, every choice to walk away, every silence that replaces chaos strengthens it. Remember this final truth. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it breathes quietly, standing tall in its certainty, waiting patiently while the world reveals itself. And in that stillness, you become something untouchable. Not because others can't reach you, but because nothing within you can be shaken anymore.